How important is mindset in street fighting and martial arts?
Well, people have always said fighting is 90% mental. I don't know if that's the ratio or the percentage, but to me it's very important. And I fought many years ago, but I was always taught to visualize the outcome, develop your mental strength, spiritual strength. To me, it's for me and my fighters. We stress that it's definitely not all physical. And even from a martial art perspective, Guru Inosanto's always said that a lot of his masters, particularly Ajarn Dick said, the fighting arts are nothing without the spirit, without the mental.
Right.
So there has to be that. If you look at it from a college standpoint, there has to be that triangle, that mental, physical, spiritual. So I think it's very important.
How often should a new or beginning student practice and train?
Well, obviously repetition is everything. I tell my students, if you want to develop any proficiency in any length of time, you've got to at least try to get in here twice a week. Because as an instructor of over 40 years, you have to assume that people aren't practicing away from the gym. I have to assume that. Many are. So at least twice a week. And obviously, the more the better. But I'd say my average student, if I really broke it down, and I've got guys that are in here 3, 4, 5 times a week, I'd say the average is probably 2, maybe a little more a week.
How important is attitude when it comes to training martial arts and learning from instructors?
Attitude, the way I look at it, and I always tell people when they come in the door, especially if they have experience, is if you're trying something new, if this is new to you, you've got to empty your cup. You've got to have an open mind. If you come in here with a closed mind and your attitude is, well, we didn't do this way at the last school, or I was in Krav Maga, for instance, if a student says this for 1.5 years or 2 years, and this goes against everything I ever did, then they're going to have a problem learning. So attitude is everything, but you've got to empty your cup. You got to open your mind, and particularly with our arts, because we encourage cross-training, so most of our students are training in more than one program. And people that come in like the programs they see, so they also want to train in more than one art. But it can be very overwhelming if you're stuck in the past. Everything you've ever done is going to help you in a martial art, but you have to be willing to open your mind and empty your cup. And that's usually the first thing I say when I do seminars. You will get something out of this. Just come with an open mind. Don't be negative. Don't poo-poo it until you really try it and you test it. You test it and you don't like it. Well, at least you've gone through the process. I show you a technique and you don't like it right away. How can you possibly know that? So, attitude is everything.
As a lifelong student and teacher, what's one invaluable piece of advice for success in martial arts?
I would say, as I say to my students all the time, be patient with yourself. Trust our process. You come in a month. Your first month, I find people's emotions are roller coaster. They walk in the door, they see people that know what they're doing. They're like, I'll never be able to do that. Or, I'm excited. I want to be able to do just like they do. But, you're overwhelmed. Your body's not moving like you want it to compared to other people. And all of a sudden, give or take, might be 6 weeks, might be 8 weeks, might be 6 months, 90 days, whatever. You start to feel like, I'm starting to get this. I'm starting to feel like I'm at least cresting the next level. But again, trust the process. These guys some of these guys have been doing this for years. And for a student to say, and after a month, I'll never get this, or I'm not getting where I want to be. I just don't. I've been in this 40 years, and I'm still a student as much as a teacher. So you've got to trust the process, and you've got to be patient with yourself.
For beginning martial artists, what training methods or modalities would you recommend they start with first?
Well, definitely, conditioning, flexibility training, and in our case, when people come in the door and don't know what they want to do, but they definitely want to train with us, after having a little talk, a little interview, informal, I usually steer them toward something that's going to get them conditioned and get their tools sharpened, as we call it. And for us, Muay Thai is very good for that. It's still great self-defense, and yet you're getting the tool sharpening aspect, striking, and you're getting the conditioning.
What is a common reason that many people aren't consistent with their training and many end up quitting?
Honestly, I find because they can't discipline themselves to put in consistent training, they get overwhelmed, they miss classes, they're always playing catch up. So to me, I guess the one word I would say is lack of discipline. Discipline. Discipline to get in the gym and train regularly. I mean, you're always going to have those days you think, geez, I don't want to train today. But there's never been a time when I was coming up, if I pushed past that, I don't want to train tonight, and went, there never was a time I didn't walk out thinking, thank God I went tonight. It feels so much better. Or they did something so cool, so thankful I didn't miss it. So to me, that's a big deal.
In your opinion, what's the most important aspect of winning a street fight or a violent, unprovoked attack?
I'd say awareness, just awareness. I think martial arts teaches you awareness, daytime, nighttime. And whenever I talk to people about it, awareness is everything. You know, you're walking into a lot of us females travel alone, call on clients. They're out and about at night by themselves. And it's just that the mindset of being aware. You know, sometimes you'll see, I'm so aware I'll see people at night by themselves, maybe in a dark, unlit area, and they get to the car before they think about getting their keys out, and they're fumbling with their keys, and they drop their keys, and you know, that's an attack waiting to happen. So I'm all about being aware. I mean, just aware of your surroundings, being proactive, and you know, getting things out like that. And the nice thing about the FMA, the Filipino martial arts, is you're taught weapons first, and everything transfers. It could be a key, a purse, a shoe. It could save yourself in a serious situation. So, but to me, it's awareness. And martial arts, if you stay in it long enough, definitely teaches you awareness.
What are the most common myths or misconceptions in regards to knife fighting and edge weapon disarms?
A blade changes everything. You know, you get punched in the face or tackled, you'll survive that, chances are. But you may not survive a knife thrust or a knife slash. So your mindset has to be so different, and the way you train has to be so different. And we're very drill-based, but you have to get to the point where you're functional training. But I do think that being able to switch that mindset on for people until they've trained for a while is difficult. But it starts with drilling the skills. It really does.
Why should a new student choose to practice Filipino martial arts, or FMA?
FMA is to me, the most complete martial arts system you can find in one system. It's weapon-based due to it being a battlefield-tested wartime art. So it's very complete, ranges, long range to close quarter and in between. You learn to use a multitude of implements, different weapons, edged in, impact. It's a complete empty hand system. It builds that awareness, because the concept was always there's more than one coming, so you're training for multiple attacks. It's very street oriented, and yet it's a beautiful art. So to me, that's, after being a martial arts for 40 years and training a lot of different systems, as Guru says, you'd have to spend a lifetime training in different martial arts for 10, 15, 20 years to get what you get in Filipino martial arts. So it teaches you reflex, it teaches you weaponry, it teaches you how to defend against weaponry. It's very complete.
What are the benefits of training Muay Thai as opposed to other arts?
I think Muay Thai is a great unarmed art. We used to say it's one of the few arts that transfers with few or little modifications from the ring to the street. It's called the science of 8 limbs. You know, punching, kicking, elbow, knee. But it's such a beautiful ring sport, but yet a brutal art and a brutal self-defense. King of the conditioning arts or sports. Great reflex training. And again, I've trained, when I started off in Shotokan Karate and different martial arts, I gained and learned so much from everything. But I think as far as the ability to transfer from the training hall to the street, FMA, Filipino martial arts, Muay Thai, you can't beat them for being able to, little modification from the ring to the street.
I'd like to thank Dick Harrell of Dick Harrell Martial Arts Academy out of Charlotte for sitting down with me and doing this incredible interview. The knowledge that this guy has and experience from a lifetime of martial arts is something that we can all learn from and should incorporate into our own training.